Alright, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome aboard the CODZILLA. We'll be departing in just a moment, but before we do, have some very important Coast Guard required safety announcements. We have enough life jackets on board for everyone on the boat today. We also have a life-saving ring and firefighting equipment located under where the captain sits. In the unlikely event of an emergency, we ask that you please remain calm and listen to instructions from our captain. We also ask that everyone please remain fully seated for the duration of the ride. And also as a note, if you are sitting in a white seat today, there's a good chance you can get wet on this boat.
Every seat's right. I'm getting it, man. I know how it goes. It comes big over on the side.
I read about it. That's where you were.
Yeah. Because the wave.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Bill and I'm going to be your tour guide today. And on behalf of Boston Harbor Cruises, we'd like to welcome you all aboard the CODZILLA, which is the fastest
way into the gurgling gullet of the Boston Behemoth.
Right, the CODZILLA is a wet ride, and as such we bear no responsibility for any wet hair, wet feet, or wet t-shirts. So sit back and get ready for a pulse pounding, palm sweating, maybe if you're all lucky, pants sweating wild ride straight
through the digestive tract of a 25-ton tower of fishy terror.
Hey, what are you doing back there?
What?
Are you trying to scare all these people away? They can't even get back to the dock now.
Look, I just think these people ought to know what they're getting themselves into is all.
Oh, I get it now. You're supposed to be some sort of crusty sea salt?
More or less.
Well, you sound more like chicken of the sea.
Oh, that's a good one. But you want to serve all these people up as tasty tummy treats to the beast in the bay. I wash my hands of it.
The buddy of the what?
I washed my hands.
The terror of the Tobin. A monster of mass port. The horror of the harbor, anybody.
I don't think any of these people know what you're talking about.
How much are they paying you for this, lad?
Oh, well, you know, they start...
whatever it is, it ain't enough.
The cooling is
Ain't near half enough. I've been working these waters since before I could walk. And I ain't never seen anything like that supersized saltwater savage. Eyes like manhole covers. Teeth like railroad spikes. Breath like a fish market dumpster in a heat wave.
Now listen, that is no way to be talking about our passengers, sir. I'm very sorry
I
about
was
that.
referring to you, so I don't know what he's saying.
We do ask this time you please secure any underwear, loose eyewear, underwear. You never know what could happen on the CODZILLA. Also, any packages, parcels, small pets you might have snuck on board, as they could be whisked over once we pick up speed. All right, everybody, sit back, relax, and prepare to be lunch. Prepare to be lunch, right? Folks, the tour portion of our ride begins right behind us with the world-famous New England Aquarium. They opened their doors in 1969 and are considered one of the nation's first modern aquariums. They remain true to their mission to preserve, promote, and protect the world of water.
You know, if the tight-fisted bureaucrats that run this rickety rig had any guts at all, they would have hired me and my own crew to go and get that overgrown guppy and bring it in. We would have donated its accursed carcass to that fine scientific institution back there.
I'm gonna guess they wouldn't go for that.
Nope. Look out to your island, I told them. See for yourselves. There's a giant man-eating monster marauding in their own backyards, and they couldn't be troubled so much to send an office intern and a diggy to check it out. And they call me crazy.
Oh, imagine that.
They're just a bunch of lily-livered, land-lubbers pennyways.
You gotta watch the sailor talk. We have kids on board.
Sorry about that, kids.
Folks, to our right, the building with the green domes on it sits atop Rose Wharf. Rose Wharf in the 1600s was the site of the South Battery, which was tasked with protecting the earliest settlers from any hostile invaders.
Until it was torn down by complacent yuppies with unliquor sensors and gentrified little skulls.
No, actually, it served as a commercial shipping port for almost two centuries.
Did it?
Yes, before the distinctive arch structure was built in the 1980s. Rose Wharf now stands as a proud symbol of the economic revitalization of the whole Boston waterfront area.
Proud symbol, huh? Well, we'll see what happens to that proud symbol and the surrounding property values once they all get a gander at the loads of fire that we're out here in this lagoon.
Are you going to be like this the whole ride?
Like what?
You're a bit of a downer.
Downer?
Yeah, these people came out here for a nice ride around the harbor, and I think you're starting to scare some of them with your weird fish stories.
Oh, let's find out. Is that true, sir? Am I scaring you? Sir? Am I scaring you? Oh, he's perfectly fine. I know what you're talking about. Don't you continue with your little tour. I find it riveting.
Oh, well, that's a nice segue, because speaking of riveting, behind that rusty brown bridge over there lies the former site of Griffin's Wharf, where on the night of December 16, 1773, a group of patriots, loosely disguised as Native Americans, dumped tea into the harbor to protest taxation without representation. Now, of course, thanks to the work of these brave men, we have all the taxation and representation we could ever want.
Wait a minute. You folks just hear that?
Am I clever rip on taxes?
No, not that.
Moving along with the tour, folks, up to our right, the boxy building with the glass facade. That's the Institute for Contemporary Art.
You folks hear that?
They opened their door in 2006.
Oh, no, that's,
The building's design has been praised for its openness and willingness to embrace
Let's not up there quiet.
Harvard.
Don't tell me you didn't hear it that time.
Folks, I'm not exactly sure what that was, but I assure you we're perfectly safe.
Keep your eyes open, folks. We're not alone out here.
Up ahead of us, the building with all the flags on it sits atop Commonwealth Pier, home of the 800,000 square foot World Trade Center. It was on Commonwealth Pier in 1918 that two sailors became the first Americans to be stricken with a strain of the flu that would prove far more deadly than the entire German army in World War I. Wow, no interruptions that time.
Like what? What do you want?
Well, I figured something like, "Whoa, that flu weren't nothing compared to the wrath of the giant mutant fishing."
Is that really what I sound like?
Thought it was pretty close.
All right, fine. Let's on this tour of yours.
Just ahead of us, the building with the lone waving American flag. That's the Boston Fish Pier.
Ah, the pier.
The pier was built in 1913 as a then state-of-the-art processing, unloading, and storage center. The fresh fish business peaked in the 1930s when over 300 million pounds of fish
Fish was so plentiful in those days, it was hard for a small boat not to bump into a tree. Maybe even 4-foot cod if you were lucky. By the time my daddy got started, the fishing had dried up some. But there was still a living to be made if you're willing to work for it. 7 generations of fishermen, folks, and I'm all that's left. With the biggest damn fish story ever told.
I know that look in his eyes, folks. I think he's going to start monologuing.
Yes, I am.